So, welcome to this lecture. I plan to be 45 minutes speaking, and then after that, 45 minutes question answer. And if you want to have some case example, I'd be happy to share as well. So, always think to say, let's go. I will just put that in the main. Okay. Okay. So thanks to Odaya for organizing this lecture in London and around. We have people from Israel, so welcome. And thanks to all our audience in London for being there. So I put a disclaimer for every conference I gave or every workshop that we don't replace medical treatment. We don't replace any medical professional. So what we do in recall healing, we pay attention to the emotional trauma behind conditions and behaviors. So we don't pretend to be better than anybody else, and I don't need anybody to believe what I say. Why? Because do we believe to be sick to be sick? No, huh? You're sick. Why would you need to believe that it works in order to heal? In my system, you don't need to believe. We need to find the reason why we're sick. And what I understood over the last 20 years is when you find why you became sick, 60% of the healing. So if we have a good therapy, a good doctor, good protocol, it helps the healing process to go forward. So always, always say that's the first thing we do in recall healing. We say, okay, what when someone has a problem, we try to make a diagnosis. So we go to see the appropriate person, healthcare professional, okay, who will make a diagnosis. Sometimes people make a self-diagnosis. If it's accurate, I don't mind, but sometimes people base their self-diagnosis on their own intuition, and sometimes it's not right, okay? So let's say we start with a real diagnosis. Now, normally a healthcare professional will suggest a treatment and drugs, drug therapy, whatever, okay? Now, does it work? If it works, great. So when it doesn't work, is it because of the treatment? Is it because of the drug? Is it because it's the right diagnosis? So normally people who come to recall healing is when it doesn't work. Okay, so we don't replace the healthcare professional, but we try to find something that can kick the healing process forward. And this is why we say if we have to make a synthesis of recall healing, is to identify and resolve the emotional trauma behind conditions and behavior. The first step into the healing process. And then the rest is with a good therapy. Okay, so let's come back to our slideshow. So keep in mind that what I explain in 45 minutes, normally I need 20 days to develop it in comprehensive and integrative understanding. Okay? So Carl Jung said, what does not come back to our awareness, return as a destiny, may come back as a destiny. So when I'm sick today, we can say, maybe there's something I've forgotten to become aware of what happened in the past. And you know, most of you know Joe Dispenza, or most of you know Eckhart Tolle, and they all say, you don't need to go into the past. You just need to work on light, on the structure of the human being today, and then you will resolve your problem as you go forward. I agree with that. But we notice that sometimes it doesn't work for many people. So what I suggest my clients all the time, my students, is you do everything to bring the light within. You do all the good work, and then you plan the future, but at the same time, you become aware of what you still carry from the past that doesn't let you free to go forward. Okay? So, me, I like to see the knowledge of recall healing as a percentage that you can use, but it's not everything. It's just something to resolve the issue of the moment to go forward. Okay. So there was a woman I liked very much, a movie, The Rosenstrasse, a Jewish woman in New York. She felt stuck at 25 years old, and the subtitle of the movie is that woman, in order to go forward with her future, with her life, she needed to explore for a while the past where she came from, the past of her family. So she did that for a few weeks, and after that, she had a beautiful life toward the future. And that's the way I see recall healing. Okay? So this is the symbol of recall healing. It's a pyramid. This is why my book is called The Pyramid of Health. What is that pyramid? I transpose that into a rocket, and you will understand why. Right now, from this moment, we are in biology. We are not in psychology. We are not in medicine. The biology means that the brain, the automatic brain, monitors our survival from moment to moment. And we understand that when we explain the rocket. The rocket is like all of us, a human being. And just stay put with the example, because if you're in psychology, it doesn't work. You have to go into biology, and you will understand later what means biology. So in this rocket, you have three main layers. You have the psyche, and that I call that the mind, the consciousness, where you have also your feelings, your emotions, everything that you resolve your problem with. It's everything that you have learned from your teacher, your parents. Is that's the level you make your decision based on your belief, your religion, your education, and your conditioning. So with the psyche, we resolve our daily life problems. Underneath, you have the automatic brain that monitor your survival from moment to moment in your body. Nothing happens in this body without the agreement of the automatic brain. I insist this brain is not the brain that we think with. The brain that we think with is in the psyche, okay, in this system. So now the body is a group of organs and billion of cells at the service of the automatic brain. So now the logic is this. When you have a problem in the daily life, let's take an American woman, okay? She's an accountant, she's superwoman, she's single, but she had a dream to marry a man and to have two kids. Okay? So she started to work after university at 25 years old. And then 2 years later, she gets married with the man of her life. And she has two kids when she's 30 years old. Okay? So in 5 years, she got married, she had her kids, and she keeps working, very happy. And then as she go forward, she went back to work. She takes care of her kids, she takes care of her husband. Her husband is quite present, but eventually he start to do overtime. And then she start to feel lonely. And then she will realize eventually that he's cheating on her. Okay? It's a story of USA, okay? And she will suddenly feel totally overwhelmed, and she will go into self-judgment. Why this happened to me? All her girlfriend will say, your husband's a jackass. He's not a nice man. He's cheating on you for the last 2 years. Yes, but this woman, in her mind, she did something wrong. She cannot explain because she did everything that she could in order to build a beautiful family. Okay? And then over time, she goes to bed trying to find why he left her for another woman, why he cheated on her, what did she do wrong? And now she's getting crazy trying to find a reason why all this happened. So during that time, she doesn't sleep well. She keeps working. She has the two kids. She cook for them. She put them to kindergarten, to school. But she becomes so overwhelmed. And the biggest problem is she doesn't sleep because she thinks too much. Now, all that happened in the psyche, okay? So now, when she's getting crazy like that, imagine all the body energy goes into the mind because the mind, the psyche, tried to find a reason why he left her. As he has not been clear, she has to find one. And you know, more than me, women, many women, they destroy themselves. Instead of the guy, if he said, I don't love you, I hate you, she will say, okay, I understand why he left me. But some men, they say, oh, you're such a good woman. I love you too much. But he left with that other woman. Okay, you understand? So she has to find a reason. But the problem, because she doesn't sleep, she's getting exhausted. And now her automatic brain, who monitors the survival in the body, worries about her. He says, oh, this woman is getting too crazy right now. I'm going to help her. And one night, she falls asleep deeply, and the brain steps into her mind, grab the core of the conscious conflict, and download that into the subconscious. The morning after she wakes up, she remembers still the drama, but the problem, she has forgotten how she suffered in the drama emotionally. So where did it go? It's a mass of emotional energy from the psyche that went downloaded into the body, the subconscious. Because for the automatic brain, the body is the subconscious. And every time a woman goes through a separation with the man she loves and she can't let him go, is the milk duct of the breast. So we know today most conflict behind most pathologies. So when a woman has a problem with the milk duct of the breast, like intraductal breast cancer, we always find a conflict of separation. Normally it's with a partner, but it happens sometimes it's with a child or with your mother. Okay. So you have some variation, but just to say, in general, it's like that. Okay. So now, the moral of the story is when we don't resolve our problem in our mind and our psyche, if it becomes too important, the automatic brain has just the body that it controls to find a solution. Now, this woman, when she wakes up, she remembers everything, but she has no as much as emotion as before. She feels like relief. So she can keep going for another 2, 3 years like that, but at the price of a disease inside. And later, 2 years later, bang, the doctor says, oh, you have a diagnosis, you have this, you have that. Okay. And then it's based on the drama that she couldn't resolve at the time. Now, when you look at this rocket on the screen, you see at the top of the rocket, you have a spirit. What it is in biology, the spirit. Imagine your woman stuck with that kind of problem, okay? And then you do yoga, you do meditation, or sometimes you talk with a good girlfriend about what you went through. You verbalize and you give an issue with your words so it doesn't go in the tissue, the body. So the spirit means you use everything that you know to transform what happened to you. And the first thing to do is to verbalize about what you're going through. And then one day you realize that this guy, he was a jackass. He didn't deserve you. So why am I going to be sick for that? Yes, but the condition is to talk about it. But that woman who got sick, she didn't talk. She talked a little bit about it, but she didn't talk how she felt inside, how she judged herself, you know? That's one of the key, okay? So now, the moral of the story, okay? Every time somebody has a disease in the body, we say, what did that person experience in his psyche to force the brain to produce that pathology as a solution? Because all the pathologies are a solution to the problem that we couldn't resolve. So we're gonna see that as we go. I will give you some example. Okay. So so now the rocket works 24/7. So that means give an issue, otherwise it goes in the tissue. So when you're pissed off, when you're angry, you have to express your anger because an anger is like the wind, and the wind affect liver gallbladder. And liver gallbladder is the door entrance of all pathologies in the body. Why? Because people who are sick are nice people. They don't say, fuck off. They don't say, I have enough. Give me a break. They smile when they're pissed off. They smile when they've been offended. You know, you know, you have some people that are dying, and then one day you make them pissed off, and they start to come back to life. Okay, people people die nice. The price to pay to be alive is to say, I'm not happy with that, or I don't like what is happening to me. I need to do something about it. Okay, so that's the main idea. Okay, so now, before I go to the next topic will be the three structure we use in recall healing to identify the problem behind diseases. Okay, so I, I agree with Odaya that we make a little stop here. And if you have some question to understand the rocket, it's time to ask them. Okay, don't hesitate, and we take 5-10 minutes to answer that. Odaya, do you have
Yes,
anyone wants to say something? Or
I
any
have not
question?
received any question just yet.
So
Guys,
last me.
feel free if you want to unmute yourself if you have a question regarding this.
Okay, so just to make it simple, I will just switch to an example for that child here. Okay, for example, okay, when you have a baby like this, okay, that's a facial eczema. The mother is a Canadian mother. She went to the Canadian medical system to heal that facial eczema. Nothing worked. So she spent 20,000 US dollar to see naturopath and nothing worked. And then she met one of my students who came out from level one only, okay? And and that student asked question to the mother. And then we know in biology that eczema comes as a repair phase of a conflict of separation with one person, okay? If it's two-person, normally it's more psoriasis. Okay? So now this baby is in repair phase of a conflict of separation. Question: when did eczema appear in the child's life? He was 3 weeks old. Okay, and the mother swear that she didn't leave her child. The child was never separated from her. But now I go a little bit quicker. But the mother has experienced a terrible conflict of separation during the pregnancy with her husband. She just told him that she's going to divorce when the child will be born. And then during the whole project, during the whole pregnancy, there's an ambience of separation in the house. And when the baby was born, it was beautiful. And the father fell in love with his baby, and he asked his wife to forgive him for what happened. And then 3 weeks after, he fulfilled the promise that he never did until that moment. So that means 3 weeks after the birth of the baby, the mother felt totally at peace with what happened between them. So the day after, that child has that facial eczema. Repair phase of the conflict of separation that happened between his parents during the pregnancy. When the mother talks about that, she has the baby in her arm, okay? And the brain of the baby hears everything. And then the brain of the baby understands that it didn't happen to me, the baby, it happened to the parents. Because when a woman is pregnant, all drama that happened around her and to her during the pregnancy, the mother the baby integrates that as it happened to him. Okay. So now look at the picture 5 days after the talk, like this. Okay. And that's the deliberate and recall healing. So when a child has an eczema, you find the separation. Okay. Since when the child has eczema, for example, or anyone, since when you have eczema, and what happened just before you have eczema? Normally something good happened. You have resolved a problem. Okay. It's a repair phase of a conflict of separation. So now, once you find the moment you resolve the problem, you need to go back and to find where was the problem. That means where was the separation with that one person. So when you have both together and you talk about it, you verbalize your emotions that you have experienced at the time. You give an issue to that you didn't give at the time. You verbalize today. So the brain releases from the tissue, and then you heal from eczema. That's the daily bread. Okay. So just to illustrate the story of the rocket, I went a little bit quick with the pregnancy time, but it's a good example of this.
I
Any
can
question
see here,
about the
Gilbert.
rocket?
Yeah. Yeah. So no, about this example, I can see someone is asking why is in the face. Why in particularly in the
Yeah,
face?
that's a
Yeah.
very good question. Okay. During the pregnancy, the real story is the mother. This is the fourth boy of the mother. Okay. And when she and her husband bought the house, she made him promise as soon as they have their children, the father will build one extra bedroom and one extra bathroom in Canada. Okay. That house has 2 stories, but just one bedroom and one bathroom. So when she became pregnant with number one, she says, darling, remember your promise. Okay? And then the father said, yeah. But he didn't care about his wife. And then when she became pregnant with the second one, she reminded him the promise. Yeah. He flushed her like this, okay? And then it's very important, okay? And then when she became pregnant with the third one, she says, hey, darling, I want my bedroom and my extra bedroom for the kids. Yeah. And but she insisted. And he became a little bit mad. And she got scared a little bit. He didn't do it. But when she became pregnant with the fourth one, she put her foot down and she said, hey, buddy, I want my bedroom and my bathroom. And she insisted. And he became mad. And he became so mad that he became ugly in his face. And she got scared of his face. Normally, he is very handsome. So she felt separated visually from the face. Okay? So she recorded that like that, and the baby in the womb recorded that like that as well. You understand? So when the child was born, he was very handsome, but he looked like the father when he's not in pissed off, of course. Okay? And this is why when he saw the face reconciliate him with himself and with his wife. Okay? Anyway, so it was not my case. It was the case of my student. Okay? And after that, this woman, the mother is a PhD in Canada. And she made a pictures before, after. She sent that to me in a beautiful study, and she asked me to use it. And then she organized workshop for me in the Toronto area. And, it was a nice experience. Okay? But
And
this experience has helped me to help many people as well.
worse. And Gilbert, how did she discover that problem? So how could she make that link?
She she didn't she met the student, okay? And she was at the airport with the baby in her arm. And my student was just beside that woman waiting for the baggage. And then the student says, can I ask you some question, madam? She said, anything you want. Okay? She just said, I spent $20,000 plus everything and nothing works. Okay, it started like that. Okay, She had no idea to ask my student any question. But luckily, my student asked her a question, so she had allowed her to verbalize about what happened. Okay,
I
is it
see.
clear, my answer?
For me, it is. I just want to make sure that it is clear to the crowd, the
Yes.
person that asked. Yeah. Thumbs up. Thumbs up. Yes. Brilliant. Okay. I think we're okay to go ahead, Gilbert, with the
Okay,
next.
super.
Yeah.
So
Thank you.
I'll come back to the previous. Let's go here. Okay, so now once we know the rocket, you see the rocket works 24/7, 20, 365 days a year. Okay, we the brain, the automatic brain never sleeps. So that means it monitors our survival from moment to moment. So now in recall healing, we have recall healing come from the work of Dr. Hammer with German new medicine, and especially the work of Dr. Claude Sabat with total biology. Me, I became naturopath in 1988. Okay, so that means I do that for 33 years now this year. Okay, and I discovered the work of Dr. Hammer in 1991. So I do that for 30 years. But I didn't really understood that until 1997 when Dr. Sabat, a French man, Jewish man from south of France, he came into my life. And at that moment, I understood Hammer, I understood Dr. Sabat. And then what I teach today through recall healing is symbiosis of what I learned from these two, plus my experience, okay, and the feedback of my student. And then I have gathered under this book, Pyramid of Health, a series of conflict and emotional trauma behind condition and behaviors, a kind of dictionary. And I give workshops, and in my workshop, maybe I have about 7 different workshops. For each workshop, I have a document of 150 pages, which elaborate what I explain. So when today we have the privacy. Huh? So you're not allowed to put in the book something private. So in the book, we have the structure, the theory, and when I talk, I give example about the cases. I talk about people, and then, so like that, we don't find it in the book. Okay, it's just between the student and the teacher. So in recall healing, this is the first tool that we use. But our work is the project purpose. I will explain the life cycles, life timeline, and then the family tree. So let's go into the project purpose. So when you want to help a person, let's say we take medication. The medication is based on a diagnosis that has been made from observation by the doctor normally. Okay? It is based on the appearance when you look the iceberg. But the symptoms and the appearance, does it say the real story behind the symptom? No. And doctors don't have time to explore that. So all the medication in the big blue book for doctors is about the appearance, but it never addressed the real cause behind symptoms and condition. Okay, so now we have, our system in recall healing is to explore what is below the surface in the iceberg. And so we find our own experience from now backward to the time we were born. We find deeper the project purpose and deeper 3 generations when you consider the family tree. Okay? That means when we don't heal with a simple medication, with a simple, let's say, therapy, right? We have to ask the question, why am I sick? Is there anything else than that in my life? So we have 7 simple questions to ask. Let's say we are sick. Okay. You say, since when are you sick? What happened? Where were you? Who was there? How it happened? Who was not there? And what happened before, during, and after the drama? Okay, so just the simple question, you know more than doctors, okay? Because you investigate. The job of a therapist in recall healing, you're not a healer. You're Sherlock Holmes. You're Columbo. You just ask questions because you want the reason why to come up. It's 60% of the healing. Okay? And notice most people are sick today for something that happened in the past that is finished. This is why when you find it, you say, oh, this is why I'm sick. Yes. And it's finished. The day after, the person already feels better. Okay? Of course, we have serious problem. I understand certain cancer is complicated, certain paralysis as well. Recall healing is also limited, but we are limited as a human being. But the brain and the consciousness is illimited. So maybe we'll find more stuff eventually to make it work much better. Okay. So now, if I go forward with the project purpose, okay, remember, okay, we are very short in time. I don't elaborate too much. The project purpose is a period of time that starts 9 months prior conception. From that moment, okay, a father and a mother, sometimes they have other partners. Sometimes they are not even together. And you have to consider their love life, the money, the family, their friend, the relationship. Okay? And then how have we been conceived 9 months before our birth? With consciousness or under influence of alcohol, drug? Did the condom break? Were we conceived by accident? Was it a rape? Was the mother forced? Okay, all that counts. Why all that counts? Because from 9 months before conception, the psychological and emotional trauma of the parents will be slowly downloaded in the baby's brain under the form of a memory. Why? To free the burden of the parents. Because during that time, if mom goes through something overwhelming and she die, I die, or I will never be born. Okay? This is why it's an automatic download. And then when we talk about that, all parents have to keep in mind that in biology, there's no guilt, no blame, no victim. Because what the kids do for their parents, the parents have done it for their parents. It's a biological law of survival. Right? Notice in many families, always the youngest that harvests the problem is the law of survival. Okay. Now, the project purpose start 9 months prior conception. It includes conception, 9 months of pregnancy. I give you an example. One of my students is a doctor, and then when he was in my class, his wife was pregnant. And then during a second workshop, he told me that he cheated on his wife when she was 4 months pregnant with his daughter, with the daughter. Okay. Then I meet with this doctor 6 years later. Now the daughter is 5.5 years old. And then, hi, how are you? Oh, everything is nice. And then, except that his daughter has asthma since she's 4 years old. And 4 years old, 4 months of pregnancy. Okay, because in the all cycles between 0 and 9 years old, you can explore what happened between 0 and 9 months of pregnancy. And curiously, I remember that he told me he cheated on his wife. And asthma, 50% of the problem with asthma is the cheating of the father during the pregnancy. Okay? Why? Think about that. The brain is linked with the common sense. Let's say when someone has asthma crisis right now, what is the problem? He cannot breathe, huh? He cannot breathe here. Why? Because he would like to breathe somewhere else with another woman, with another partner. And when he's with somewhere else, with that other partner, he has to come back to his wife who is pregnant, for example. Okay. You have other reasons for asthma, but asthma is I would like to be at two places at the same time. So now, when this doctor told me that, I said, Johnny, do you remember what you told me in that workshop 5.5 years ago? Okay. And then, no, men don't remember they cheated on their wife. Okay. I said, you told me this. Okay, so tonight when you go home, tell your wife that you will tell a story to your daughter, and then you put her in bed. You tell her the story. Uh, I mean the story in the book, of course. And then when she fall asleep, you tell her, darling, Papa cheated on Mama at the 4th month of your pregnancy. Daddy wanted to be at two places at the same time. He has to say everything. Don't worry, she sleeps. You talk to the brain of the baby, you talk to the subconscious of the baby. And we can do that easily until the child is 10 years old. Okay? You don't talk to the consciousness. Okay, it's very important. But what is interesting, when the brain of the baby hears, Daddy cheated, not me. Okay, the brain releases the program right away. Okay, and the day after, the girl never had asthma. And he wrote a testimonial, this doctor. I was too stuck as a medical doctor to risk not to use the pump, the cortisone pump. Okay? And this girl healed completely. And we have many stories like that, that heal asthma just on the information of the cheating during the pregnancy. But I understand you have other reason, but we're going to talk about that another moment. Okay. So now the project purpose lasts a total of 30 months until the first year of life. Why we say the first year of life? Because it's this. We live in a world of, we live in this universe, okay, which our Earth turn around the sun in 365 days. Okay? So now imagine that you're, this is the Earth. Imagine your seed in the womb of your mom, okay? And then you get out of the womb. You have 9 months before conception, and 9 months of pregnancy. This is 18. Why 18? Because people who study the symbolism, 18 is the number of the moon. It's silver. It's women. But above all is what? Is the subconscious. The moon, 18, represents the subconsciousness. Okay. So now, 18 months in the womb, in the subconscious of your mother, and then when you're born, you're like a plant that gets out of the ground. And now, when you're out of the ground, you're in the cycle of the first year anniversary. Okay. So now, for 1 year, your brain records everything that happened to you. And when you're 1 year old, you complete the first cycle anniversary. Everybody says happy birthday to you. And what does say your brain? Your brain says, if I am alive in this world today, after all this time, that means what I have recorded works. I'm alive. And there's a law in brain in biology. The brain knows what it can recognize, and it can recognize just what it knows. the brain likes to repeat in order to feel safe. So this is why we say the brain remembers to repeat in order to stay alive. This is why when you're 1 year old, the brain says, if I'm alive today, it's because what I've recorded works. The problem is this. The brain will make a holographic picture of the project purpose, and it will say, let's repeat that all my life by cycles. This is why today, whatever is your age, if you have an accident, if you have a pathology, if you have any problem, you divide by 2, by 3, by 4. For example, let's say someone is 25, an accident at 25. You divide by 2. Oh, the person was 25 years old. What happened at 25? Oh, he had an accident, motorcycle accident. At 50, he had a car accident. Yes, but his mother was 25 years old when she conceived him. What happened at conception? Oh, the condom broke. He's conceived by accident. You understand? Accidents are part of his project purpose. We repeat that. People are not aware. Okay? We are an expression of something. We follow the law of agriculture. And the only thing that can change that is the consciousness. This is why Baron Katie, Eckhart Tolle, Joe Dispenza, all these guys, they work to improve the consciousness. If we're not aware, we let the biology control our life, our destiny. To change our destiny, we need to bring the consciousness, the awareness. Okay? And that is the way in biology to do it. Okay? So when we repeat the same old, when we repeat the same problem all over, some women, some men, they live in that country, and after a breakup, you have enough and you leave your country and you move to another country, like, for example, Australia or London. And then you're happy there, you start a new life. And then after a while, you live the same thing than the country you left. Why? Because we didn't change the program. We didn't change the perception. This is why this work fit also well with the student to study theta healing. Because in theta healing, you study the belief, the perception. It's wonderful. You see, everything is connected together. Okay? And then with the project purpose, after that, we also study the that I show you. Okay, so see in that picture how the first 9 months shape the rest of your life. A new science of fetal origin. This is in October 2010. But what I teach about the project purpose is the knowledge of the wise women. You know, when the witches in the 1800s, even before that, have been killed because they were doctors, they were therapists. eh, They knew this stuff. All this stuff has been buried. Okay? Dalai Lama says the knowledge of recall healing existed 700 years before Jesus Christ. So I don't know where he picked that up, but he said that to my mentor. That's interesting. Okay, so we saw that. Okay, so now our job is to, when we understand quantum physics, people who saw the movie, What the Bleep Do We Know? There's moment they show a quantum physics experience. It's a cartoon in the movie. You can still watch that cartoon on YouTube. It's called Dr. Quantum, the double slit experiment. And we repeat different experience. And then there's moment we get the same result with that experience. And then the scientists put a camera. From the moment he put a camera, it changes the result of the experience. And then the moral of the story in quantum physics is when an observer observes well an experience, it changes the result of the experience. So now, when in recall healing we build a lifetime line, the project purpose, pregnancy time, plus the family tree, 3 generations, something changed. It's amazing. Just observing that. I give you an example of the family tree. Okay, when when I work at the moment with Los Angeles, okay, and there was a woman who had stage 4 lung cancer. Okay? So when we study lungs, lung is the fear of dying. Sometimes it's a person that doesn't find any reason to stay alive. I have enough. And the key word for lung is adaptation. That means someone who has lung cancer, he can't adapt himself to this world anymore. So they don't wish to die. But when you feel you cannot fit anywhere, subconsciously, many people think about leaving this world. Okay? That's the moment the automatic brain pick up the sensation of maybe I'm gonna die. Okay? So at that moment, the brain sends more cells to the lung alveoli, and the person is diagnosed with lung cancer. But the logic of the brain is to create a turbo function in the lung. Right? So it's a lung tumor, an adenocarcinoma. It kills the person slowly, but at the origin was just to multiply the capacity to breathe because the brain felt the person wanted to die. Okay, that's the way the brain works. So now I have a woman that 45 years old, and then she went through chemotherapy, and the doctor sent her home because she's hopeless, she's gonna die. And that's the moment she came to see me. And of course, after 2 sessions, I felt I couldn't help her. She's already dead. Okay? And then just before she left, I said, Monica, I forgot to ask you a question. At that time, I didn't build family tree for all clients because it takes time. Okay. And so I said, okay, Monica, you have a mother and a father. Okay. Which number are you? Which birth order number are you in your family? So Monica is a sister number 1, and Monica is number 2. And then I put in a square the client, right? And so I write her name, Monica. She's 45 years old, and she has lung cancer. Okay, so now her mother is a number 1 child, only a child. So we consider miscarriages and abortion. So I asked Monica to call her mom to make sure she didn't have abortion or her mother didn't have any abortion as well. Okay. So the mother says, no, no, I'm the only child of my mom. My mother didn't have any miscarriage and abortion. Okay. Her mother, the grandmother, okay, here she's also a number 1. But this grandmother had a sister number 2, okay, who died at 45 years old. So Monica asked her mom, she died from what? Lung cancer. Okay. So when the mother told her she died from lung cancer, you see, this number 2 was in vibration with Monica number 2, 45 years old, 45 years old. Just an information, an observation, okay? Now Monica's in my office and she has the chill like that, okay? When she hears that, it's just a news, just an information, huh? But 6 months later, Monica healed completely her lung cancer on one simple information, observation. So this is why the work of the family tree comes from a woman who died at 99 years old last year. Okay, she built family tree for 65 years, and she noticed as she built family tree, you create a field of observation. when you observe what happened in the previous generation, sometime you contribute to heal something in the next generation. Why? Because I am in my body the answer to the problem my ancestors did not resolve. So what is the problem that didn't resolve? Okay, because we know the conflict, we research and we find something. It's the same thing with the job that you do. Okay? You come to do a job, you think you choose your job, but many times the person execute the job to answer and resolve the problem that was not resolved above in the family clan. For example, when you're pharmacist, when you're biochemist, we find in your family food poisoning or poisoning above. If you're homeopath, we find above in the family clan, allopathy killed someone. The, the drug dosage was too strong. So now the next generation produce an homeopath. Okay, so that's the daily bread in recall healing.
Gilbert, I have here a question that relates just to the family tree, and I hope you don't
Yes,
mind me
please.
asking there. What do you do when you don't have access to the family tree?
Yes.
I've been,
So look, we work on what we know, and people, on my clients and many students, they say you always see the part that you cannot find. Huh? So, but what you do, you say, okay, I am me. Do I have any brother, sister? Did my mother had any miscarriage or abortion? Start like that. And then you build dad, mom. If you know that, it's already something. Okay. And some people already parents, grandparents. So you already have two, three, four generations sometimes just starting from you. It's fantastic. Okay. Sometimes you don't find everything for yourself to heal yourself, but everything you find at your level can help your children and grandchildren to heal. And what I notice the most is when you start to ask questions, the universe start to respond. You start to have feedback from places that you couldn't expect before you start to ask questions. So the job is to start somewhere. Okay. And okay, I understand it can be limited, but sometimes we know enough to initiate a work, to initiate a healing, at least a degree of healing. Yeah.
yeah, that's great. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So now these um, last thing I want to say um, that we use a lot is the lifetime line. Okay. So I will give you something a little bit crazy. Okay. A woman doctor is in my workshop and she has shingles. And so I said, do you know why you have shingles? She says, no. Would you like to know? And I didn't know. I would find, okay? But be open minded, okay, please, because it's crazy. Okay. So she's 57 right now. Okay. And then when you say shingles, shingles is a skin condition with the nerve and it's very painful. Okay. We say it's the repair phase of a conflict of feeling soiled and hurt in my physical integrity. So, for example, we have many elders that have shingle. Why? Because these people have been autonomous all their life. They have respect of their body. But sometimes when you age, sometimes you pee in your pants, sometimes you have a gas, and some people make a bad comment on you, and you feel hurt in your integrity. And shingle is the repair phase of that. But sometimes shingle comes as a repair phase after a round of chemotherapy when the person loses hair, eyebrow, eyelashes. Okay, so it's possible. So now this doctor, let's call her Donna. No, let's say Donna. Okay, okay. And Donna she's a gynecologist, okay? And she's very Christian. You see, it's very important in the story. So now, why is a shingle at 57 years old? Normally, when you study hammer, we explore the year before. At 56, she had a Ericksonian hypnosis, and she got in touch with the feeling that she was abused as a child. She couldn't see the abuser, she couldn't have any flash, but she felt it. So it's possible that shingle come 1 year later, like the 1 year cycle anniversary, to heal that memory. Okay? Okay, so I write that memory at 56. Now, 56, I divide by 2. What happened to you, Donna, at 28? She says nothing. Okay, I divide 28 by 2. What happened at 14? Uh, we moved to a new school, a new city. Moved. And then when you're 14 and you have to go to a new school, what happened to you? She was bullied. Bullied is an attack against my integrity. So it's possible that at 57, she has shingle also because she was bullied. Okay? So I write that here. Then divide by 2, 14, 7. I just want to give example, okay? And then but this story is true, okay? At 7, she remembers nothing. Now, see, I got these 3 numbers when I divided by 56. Now, I took these 3 numbers and add just for fun, okay? Just to explore. I don't have an expectation, but my job is to ask questions. Okay? So I said, okay, 7 and 14 is 21. What happened at 21? Oh, my first son was born. Okay. I thought that was beautiful. And then she says, but my husband cheated on me during the whole pregnancy. It was awful. Okay, so you're cheating. So you understand, cheating and shingles go well together. Huh? And then, oh my God, I remember now 28. She didn't remember the first time I asked her. Huh? Now she remembered 28, her second son was born. And then her husband cheated the whole pregnancy. Okay, so she felt soiled and hurt in her integrity. And this is why she didn't remember, because it was a hard memory. And then I added 14 and 28. What happened at 42? She said, I don't want to talk about it. But if you wanted to talk about it, what would you say? Well, she got pissed off at me because she's obliged to tell me, okay? She's a gynecologist. And in her country, it's forbidden to do abortion. She said, they are very Catholic. Okay? She said, I said no to 2,000 women in my life for an abortion. But at 42, I became pregnant and I had an abortion. She was ashamed of that. Okay, so I write that abortion. So when I wrote abortion here, she had a flash and she saw that when she's 7 years old, her father raped her. Okay, Dad raped me. Okay, my point. This is big. Okay, but in 5 minutes, 10 minutes, we have access to bang, 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 all these cycles, okay? So now, I know this woman now for another 10 years, okay? Her life changed completely since she did this work. Why? Because what you become aware of does not program your future anymore, or give you the capacity to transform or to react, okay? That's the power of consciousness. The biggest danger is ignorance. Okay, this is why we repeat the same old, Huh? Okay, so it's just an example of life cycle. But for each client, I always divide. I have other ways, but I keep that for another moment of information. Okay,
Yeah, it's
so
very insightful.
yes. And then last thing I wanted to share with you is once we find the stuff, when you have observed, when you have verbalized, talk about it, Sometimes you need to find a way to let go, to forgive yourself. And sometimes there's nothing to forgive, but it's good to check. Sometimes we use Ho'oponopono. I'm sorry, please forgive me, I love you, thank you. I I build a sheet like that one here, and then I put some solution of letting go and Ho'oponopono. And then there's another one I like very much is let's say let's say a person is sick because he got cheated. Let's say you got cheated by your husband and now you're sick because of that. So now how can you transform the energy created by the husband or created by that person? Let's say let's say you have a problem with Joe, okay? So you say like that, you squeeze your arm like this. My heart is full of love and understand. Oh no, you put both your hand on your heart. You say, my heart is full of love and understanding. You repeat that 10 times. My heart is full of love and understanding. Then you say Joe's heart, or you say my father's heart, my mother, okay? Let's say my mother's heart is full of love and understanding. My mother's heart is full of love and understanding. Now think about the rocket. When you say something with intensity, what do you think happened in your brain, in your psyche? It creates a pressure. Huh? So it's like when you repeat a mantra. Huh? When you repeat something and it creates a pressure, your brain says, okay, I have enough. Okay. And your brain downloads into your subconscious the fruit of the work that you're doing. So it's like you send in your subconscious a different image of the way you were wounded long time ago by this guy. What happened? Healing happened. Okay. It transformed the energy at a cellular level. So this is why you make a list of the jackass of your life. You make a list of the men and women who have been hard on you, cheated you, or betrayed you, or beat you. Eh? And then you do this work on yourself. We need to come at peace with our enemy in our own mind. But you don't call them to let them know. Eh? It's just a work on yourself. And then more you work on yourself, more you come at peace with yourself. So, and then the conclusion is you eventually you access the light. Okay. And with the light, we say the the disease is a lack of harmony. The light harmonizes, excuse me, the light harmonizes everything. Harmonizes everything. Oops. Okay, so that's what I can share with you for now at this moment. Okay, so it's if you want more information about recall healing, you can contact Hodaya. You can she can answer many questions as well. So and I thank you for your participation. For now, I'm available to answer some questions.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Gilbert. That was beautiful. I have here quite a few questions. I'm going to go back to a couple of scenarios that you gave.
Okay.
So, if do we always divide the age 1 year before the illness manifested? And if so, why we divide 56 and not 57?
Well, honestly, whatever works for you. Okay. The goal is to question your client, but I honestly I divide the age of the diagnosis. I really divided at 57 for that woman. Okay, but I did with you 56 because it's easier to divide 56 by 2. Okay.
Oh, I think you also said that Dr. Hammer is also saying that 1 year before the diagnosis is actually some indication of.
It's possible you find something the year before, of course, but not always. Okay?
Okay.
Sometimes you find it quite half of the cycle. Okay.
Yeah.
But sometimes you find it in a few months before the diagnosis. Okay.
Mm.
So, and some people will tell you, oh, I got diagnosed at 57, but I have that since I'm 55.
Right.
So you
Okay.
understand, you have to
Mm.
start somewhere and then you explore with your client. And the
Okay.
most important, you keep the common sense. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So so there's another question following from that is what was the division again? Divided by what? So if people want to kind of like do play it on themselves, is it? Would you say constantly divided by two? How would that be?
What I suggest is just divide by two. That's enough. Okay.
Mm.
Because you go slowly. What has worked the best until now is dividing by two. But more you do this work, you realize that the brain is holographic. So you can divide by two, by three, by four, and then everything is in everything. The biggest problem is to create a field of perception and observation. Okay? People don't remember at first. And when you divide by two, you say, what happened to you that age? What do they say normally? I don't remember. What do you say? But if you remembered, what would you remember? And they remember.
Mm.
Okay?
Yeah.
For me, people always remember. But when I started this work, I was zero. I couldn't find anything because in my mind, it was not in my mind. I couldn't perceive. But now, when you change your perception, you see it. It appears. Okay,
Mm.
it's like it's like when you become clairvoyant. Okay? I'm not clairvoyant, but there are some people they see colors, but they're always there. These colors, it's just that you don't have the degree of perception to see them. But when you know something exists, it's like I know so many girlfriends in my life, women who don't like cars. Huh? They don't like cars, but they buy a Toyota, and then they see Toyota everywhere after that. Okay, it's the same thing with from the moment you start to work on something, you observe it. It's the same thing when you have a client who come to see you for the first time with a pathology you never work on it. You help that client the best as you can. You maybe you feel not good at helping, and then 2 weeks later you have another client with the same pathology, another. Okay, it's like your perception open the door to possibilities.
Yeah, that's great. That makes sense. I have here another question. I'm going to read it out. Okay. So,
Okay,
what could be a typical cause for a woman who experiences infection in her female part? How this could relate to the feeling of blame?
excuse me.
I'll,
Repeat
I'll,
that
I'll
slowly.
say it again slowly. Sorry. What could be a typical cause for a woman who experiences infection in her female part?
Yes. Okay.
And the continuation to it is how this could relate to the feeling of blame.
Oh, blame. Okay, sorry.
Blame.
Yeah, sorry, my French glitch. Okay,
Oh, sorry, it's my
I,
Britishness, maybe.
it's like blind. I heard like blind. Okay, blame. Oh, that's the daily bread. Okay, so women, sex, genitality. Okay, is think about that. So many women blame themselves for everything. Okay, the problem you live in 2021. You are outgoing, you have good girlfriend, you can share, you are much better normally than your mother, your grandmother, you can affirm more yourself. But many women in their subconscious for 3 generations blame themselves. Okay? And so first thing, any most pathology or infection of the genitality is a feeling. First, it's a reflection of my relationship with the men of my life. Am I satisfied with these guys? What kind of message they send me subconsciously? Could I bond with the guy that I love? Did he cheat on me? My point is the genitality of a woman will express her life story at a sexual level with the partners, with the love. And we say the vagina in biology is where I meet with my man and when I have the sex of my man inside. Okay. So in biology, in just a biology, okay, not the woman of 2021 because it doesn't work. Because we're supposed to be equal, okay? But in biology, the man wants to own his wife and the wife wants to belong to his man, okay? So, and then for that, the head of the penis, when you have sex, had to hit the head of the cervix, okay, like this. And this is why today so many women have problem with their cervix because it's not satisfying. Okay, you have many men that are looking for their manhood, and many women looking for their womanhood. Okay, and it's a problem of identity in 2021. Okay, I noticed that by my experience and from what I've studied. But just know that the first thing when you want to get rid of any infection at the level of the genitals, it's like you make a list of the men of your life, your sex relationship. How did you feel? What do you keep any grudge, any any regret? Okay. What is the unfinished business with these people? Okay. And I'm sure that you can really heal something with that. Okay. And now after that, we have to have a specific diagnosis to find a specific problem underneath all that as well. Okay.
Right, and that's through the project, right? So that's the dividing, or would you say,
No, no, first you make a list of these guys.
yeah,
So me, I make joke, okay? So if you have infection, genital infection,
yeah,
it's not because the guy has been a very nice guy. Normally, you make a list of the jackass of your life, okay? All the
mm,
guys that told you, I love you forever, and then took off. Oh, it
mm-hmm,
was not nice, okay?
mm, mm, yeah.
Sorry, I have four sisters, okay? And we used to speak about it, to talk about everything.
Imagine, same here, five, never ending.
Ah, yeah, yes. What can you say? You know, I love it. I love to talk about this.
Yeah,
And
we learn. I have here, Gilbert, another question here. In your book, do you talk about the reasons for illnesses, as you gave us a few examples today, like breast cancer?
in the book, so yeah, of course,
Yeah.
you have at least 300 different pathologies.
All right. So this breast cancer basically, is it one reason, or there could be various ones, just like for the
So
shingles and the
look,
others?
look, um, the breast, stay biology, okay, women.
Yeah.
The breast for women is for the one you feed, okay. And first, for all women, their partner is like a baby, okay. And you feed your man, but it's why your man likes the man. Normally, the man likes the breast of his wife, the nipple, okay. And then, but it's for a reason because it prepared for the intercourse. So it's like normally for the right-handed woman, her right breast will illustrate, express more the relationship with her man, and her left breast will talk more about her relationship with her baby, her children, including her mother. Okay. So when a woman has breast problem, whatever it is, the first question is, how was my relationship with my own mother? Because the breast, is the way you become a woman in biology. So who was the first woman in your life to show you womanhood? It's your mother, huh? So you have to explore that. And then after that, you talk about the partner or the child okay? So, but after that, everything is unique, okay? So now the two common breast problem is intraductal breast cancer, which talk about separation, or adenocarcinoma of the breast, which talk about drama inside of my nest or in relation to my nest. Okay. If I go to USA, people have money, they can have more time to cheat. Okay, so I meet more intraductal breast cancer. But when I go to Russia, 70% of the breast cancer are adenocarcinoma of the breast. Why? Because women in Russia live drama in their nest because of alcoholic, because of beating, because of the economy. It's more dramatic in Russia than in USA. Okay, so um, okay, so that's the rest is one on one, one question at a time, very specific.
Of course. So these are the written questions. I have anyone who wants to take the floor and ask questions is allowed as well.
Anyway, does that make sense? All this? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Great. So what I like to say is, I don't need to you to believe anything. I like to show. I like to find, because when we find, you feel it. Okay. And each session, I told Odaya, I do this lecture. I don't want to have any client from this lecture because I'm too busy. I start my series of workshop and I have 8 months of waiting list. But, and what I like is to communicate that, because let's say we don't believe anything, but we have a problem. And then when we explore, suddenly something open up, and you realize that this problem is an expression of something that you never talk about, you never say. Why? Because there's a moment in our life you have to be a nice girl, nice boy. You have to shut up. Yes, but you know what? That's the beginning of the problem. And for all of us, when we're children, we progress very quickly because we ask questions, we talk. But some drama in our life, some wounds, shut us up. Okay, so now healing is to come, is to verbalize, to speak up, to say who you are, is to come back who you are. And we are sick because we're not oneself. We had to please others. Okay, this is why in recall healing, I, I I like to say I make people a little bit pissed off, and then I make them to say fuck off. Um, they have to verbalize to say something, and then suddenly you have life, you have energy. And think about that. Most diseases are based on grudge and anger or fear. So to do, when we identify grudge and anger, I make people do the tiger like this. When it's based on fear, like any paralysis, I make them shaking their fear like this, okay? To release the fear, like do animals, okay? The biological brain is very comfortable with that. And what is interesting is not the mental, the consciousness that monitor our disease, is the automatic brain. So that automatic brain is an animal reaction. Okay, this is why when you observe nature, it helps to be at the contact with what we have forgotten to let go or resolve or to verbalize. Huh?